Hello, my name's Julie from So Unique, and I'd like to welcome you to this week's quilt block for the Beatrix Potter quilt that I'm making. And this week we're just doing something quite simple, quite easy. It's just like applique, and you're going to do a selection of circles and stitch them onto your panel. So what you'll need for this is obviously your backing piece of fabric, your wadding and your main piece of fabric. Then a selection of, well, obviously if you're using Peter Rabbit fabrics, pieces of fabric, and you want to get, if you've got some circle templates, dies from your die cutting machines and their circles, and just get that and sit it over the top of your fabric. Just I need to get one to show you now. Right, well that's one of the dies that I'm using, but if you don't have that you can use like a cup, anything that's circular that you've got in your home. You know, you can even download circle shapes off Google. So long as whatever you like print, if you print on paper, make sure it's a thin paper so you can actually see through it, because you obviously need to see where your design is. Now then you will need, I use a Frixion pen, a blue one, because it irons off most things. If you haven't got a Frixion pen, you could use pencil, because you're not actually going to see this line, so it's not going to matter. And then you want some interfacing. This is an iron, this is not an iron-on facing, this is a sewing facing, and it's, this one I'm using is Violin, and it just says Violin stroke 12. Now you can get it, and I think you can still get it on eBay. I think there's people selling it by the meter on there. This is like a medium weight. Now I like the medium weight, it's fine. You can use a lightweight one, but obviously you have to be careful that you don't tear it. So like I say, medium is better. So all you do is pop your die on, use your Frixion pen and draw all the way around. So that is your circle. Then you will get, you need a pin, and you need a piece of fabric. You need that and a piece of fabric, and then you're just going to place your interfacing over the top of your design. I'll just pin this on and then you can see. And you just need a pin in the center of your design. Okay, so on your sewing machine, if you're going to sew it on your sewing machine, you need to put your stitch length down so it's quite tiny, and then you're going to stitch all the way around on the blue line. Don't do any reversing. If you start there and you go all the way around, make sure when you come to the stitches you meet up, you continue sewing across the stitches for about ½ an inch. That's all you need to do. That will hold everything in place. Now if you've followed the other tutorials, you will actually see how to do all this. So when you've stitched round, you will cut off your excess fabric somewhere between 1/8 of an inch and 1/4 of an inch, and then we're going to put a slit in just your interfacing across horizontal and vertically. So I will show you that now. Okay, now on my machine, obviously you know I've got a Genome Memory Craft 5900, and it's just the standard straight stitch that I'm using, but I just put the stitch length down to 1.5, so that is a nice tiny stitch, and that is what you need. I am also using my open toe clear foot. This is one I prefer because I like to be able to see what I'm doing. Okay, well for mine I've got 3 sizes of circle. This one is just over 3 inch, this one is just under 3 inch, and this small one is, let's just get my ruler. Oops, sorry. Around about 2 inch that one is. So it doesn't matter sort of what size you have, so long as you're happy with your sort of layout. So it is just a case of just practice a few things, because if you stitch too many, doesn't matter, you can always use them for another project. Now if you're going to hand sew these, you can do it. All you would need to do is do a back stitch, and you'll do small stitches the same, and yeah, you can still do it by hand sewing. Right, okay, I've got my circles in the pattern that I like, and I've got them pinned on. I've actually glue basted mine into place, but obviously if you don't have any of this basting glue, you can just pin them on like I have done. Now if you are going to machine stitch, all you want is like a zigzag stitch and have all 3 layers together. So that is now ready to go and be machine stitched. But this time I'm going to hand sew mine. So if you're hand sewing, all you'll need on is your main piece of fabric and your wadding. Take your backing fabric away. Now I'm going to do a blanket stitch on here. I might do it in different colour threads. Not sure yet. I will wait and see how I like it when I get started. So, well, I've changed position now, so I hope you can see this okay. As I'm hand stitching and I've actually got pins in, I've decided to quickly tack the circles into place, just because it's going to make it a little bit easier for me if I decide to go and sit on the settee and watch telly while I'm doing this. Otherwise I'm going to end up getting pin scratches, and I don't want that. So if you're new to sewing, tacking stitch, it's just get some ordinary thread and you can just do some big stitches. You should be able to see the thread, and it just means it's just going to hold everything in place without having to have a pin in. I know it you know, extra time sewing, but sorry about the noise, that's my iron going off. Oh dear, there's always something, isn't there, if it's not people or cats. So I'm just going all the way around the edge, not too close. You don't need to go too close, because like I say, I'm doing a blanket stitch on mine, I think. Now if you don't want to do a blanket stitch, you don't have to, you can do a running stitch. Right, so I can take the pin out now. So I'm just going to put a quick knot in the back, and then after I've blanket stitched, or whatever stitch you want to use, you just pull these stitches out. Like I say, it just eliminates the pins, then you don't scratch yourself. So I hope you can see that okay. So if you want to do that, I will do the rest of mine and I will see you again in a few minutes. Right, I've just chosen some threads, and so each one's going to be different. So for this one, it's got like a greyish background, and Flopsy Mopsy's got like an orangey coloured coat on. So I've picked this to go with it, and I think that's probably the nearest match I can get. For Mrs. Tiggy Winkle in the centre, I've just gone for a pink. And for this one here that's got the lettuce on, this has got like a bluey background, so I've gone for the colour of the lettuce. And for Mr. Toad, I'm trying to sort of match up his jacket the best I can. I mean, my thread is slightly darker, but I think that's fine. Right, Jemima. Now, no, not that one. I think I'm going to have this green because that picks out that, and for little Peter, I think I'm going to have that. Now I just need to, I was going to put green on that one, that was it, the dark green to match that. Yes. Right, now I think that's it. Right, well, your thread is made up, if you're using sort of like Madeira, Anchor, DMC or anything like that, there's usually 6 strands. So I think for this project, I think we just want 4. So yes, I've got 6 there. So just gently pull it apart. I mean, I've just got the end bit held at the front of me, and I'm just using a piece that was already cut. But I wouldn't have your piece of thread too long, to be honest, because it'll only end up getting in a tangle. Whoops. See, I've got in a tangle already. No. Got that bit off. So just keep that on one side, because obviously if you're using more of this, then you can put 2 lots of strands together. Right. So you just want a needle now. You know, I can never thread a needle, can I, when I need to? Oh, mine, but the eye's big enough. There we go. Right, so I'm just going to put a knot in the end of mine. Right, so I'm going to come up from the back, come up through the back there. Now I'm just going to come down, just to, you know, right next to where I started. So the needle's coming up through your wadding. Wrap that piece of thread round. I'm actually working the wrong way around for myself, really. There. Now you can see you've got a little bit of thread there. That's where what we'll catch when we finish off. Down through the front, back up, right at the edge. There. Wrap your thread round. And there we go. And that is blanket stitch. So you've got your little stitch there. So, you know, if you can try and keep all your stitches the same length here, that'll be good, but that just comes with practice. well, as you can see, I am running out of thread. So I'll show you how we change thread. So as you can see, I've just come through that top loop. So I'm going back through just right at the side of the stitch where I came up. Right, now that's fine like that. So turn it over and just put a couple of knots in. You don't want it popping back through. So I'll just put 4 in there. This is all going to be hidden, so it's fine. So just snip it off. So the piece of thread that I took off my main one, obviously it's 2 strands there, but I can fold it in half and it'll be double, so that'll be 4 strands. Whoops, there we go. So that's it, we're doubled over, so I've got 4 strands now. I'm just going to chop the tail off there and we're good to go again. So this time I'm going to bring my needle up through the loop where I just finished, just at the side of that stitch, just there, and then just continue on to the end. Right, now we've come to the end. Now you can see where the last stitch was. I am just going to pop my needle down there, and there we go. That's that finished. So we just turn it over and put just a few knots. I'm probably going to do 3 this time. That is nice and secure. It's not going to pop out. And chop my thread. I can turn it back over, and now I can actually take the tacking stitches out. So just snip it and just pop it out. There we go. Oops. And that's your first one finished. So you're going to do that on each of your circles, and then I'll come back and I'll tell you how to finish it off. Okay, so all the blanket stitch has been done now, and I have put my backing layer back on, and I've used excuse me, a bit of spray adhesive to keep it all together. So now what we're going to do is, to make sure we can hold all 3 layers together, is we're going to do a quilting stitch. Now I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see that. I do apologise for the lighting. I have got lights on around me, but I've noticed when I've been editing it's not been quite bright enough, so I'm not sure what's going to look like on a big screen, so I do apologise for that. And quilting, obviously we're going all the way through the 3 layers, so that is what is going to hold all your layers together. And all I'm using for the quilting, because my backing is white on cream, this is going to be fine. Now I'm using, it's an Anchor pearl cotton, and I think this is number 6, this one. So it's not too thick and it's not too thin. It's just perfect for quilting, this. And basically all you're doing, thread your needle up. Obviously you have to now, well, you don't have to, but quilters tend to pop the knots on so you don't have a knot stuck out at your back. Now as you can see, I've actually already done these. I got that done last night after I'd finished my blanket stitch, and I'll turn it round. All you're doing, you're working 1/4 inch, roughly 1/4 inch away from the edge of your circle. Now I'm going to just do it on a flat surface, so just pop your needle in. Try and keep your stitch lengths the same size and your gaps between stitches the same. I mean, if you can't, it doesn't matter. It's just what, you know, how it is in quilting, I think, really. And because I'm working on the table here, it is easier to do, I must admit. So I'm coming to the end now, so this is the last stitch, so I've got a gap there, so I'm going to turn it over. And I'm just actually going through, so I've got another, so it looks like I've got another stitch on the back. So all I'm going to do is make a knot, and then where I came up, I'm just going to stick my needle in, so my needle will go through the top layer of fabric and through the wadding, and then I'm just going to pop out, and I'm just going to pull gently, and you either hear a pop or you can just feel the fabric, and it'll go pop like that, and your knot will disappear inside there. So this is where I've come up, so I'm just going to pull that gently. I'll have to do it on the work surface, I'm afraid. I'm going to have to just pull that gently, snip, then your thread goes back into your back of your fabric, and that's how you pop your knot. It's very satisfying when you pop a knot, it really is. Right, so I'm just going to go and give this a quick press, and then I'm going to trim it down so it matches the front section, and then I will be back to show you. That's this week's panel all finished. I hope you've enjoyed the tutorial, and I hope you'll join me for next week's panel.